Hello guys, good morning everybody. I hope you know that this is my first video in a second wave of pandemic of 2021. Whereas today this will be my testing kind of a video because today I'm going to discuss about those leftover questions of CET NEET from human digestive system. Okay, so let me go for the first question, our 100th question, as I can say. That is, enzymes responsible for the digestion of starch in food of man is present in antide alva. So options are salivary and gastric secretion, salivary and pancreatic secretion, gastric and pancreatic secretion, gastric and duodenal secretion antide, right? So hope you got the question here. Digestion of starch in the food of man. I mean the enzymes which are responsible for digestion of the starch in the food of man, they are secreted in which organ, or what you can say, which secretions they are called as. So that's actually meaning of the question. So whereas here gastric secretion is wrong, because in all the rest of the three of the options, like either A, C or D, if you take, there is a word gastric. Whereas gastric andre, which refers to the stomach, where gastric juice is secreted, and it is not responsible for the digestion of the starch because it is not going to secrete any secretions from its own, right? So that's why, whereas salivary and pancreatic secretion is the right option here, because in the salivary amylase there will be starch digesting enzyme, and in the pancreatic amylase also there will be starch digesting enzyme, right? So that's the reason why this B option is the right option here. Okay, let me go for the 101 question. Invertase enzymes acts upon antida. Whereas actually invertase are nothing but sucrases. So whereas here option has been given as sucrose, I mean to say, which is going to act upon antida question. So that's why, whereas sucrose is the right option, because invertase is nothing but sucrase which acts on the sucrose to convert it into glucose and the fructose. So that's why, whereas D option is the right option. Okay. So now let me go for the 102 question. Pancreatic lipase is activated by antide. See, keep in your mind guys, whereas here he is asking a question saying that activated by anta HCl CCK, that is cholecystokinin ಅಥವಾ bile ಅಥವಾ pepsin ಅಂತಿದೆ option ಅಲ್ವಾ. So whereas actually pancreatic amylase, I mean pancreatic lipase is activated by the bile, because even though pancreatic lipase is secreted by the pancreatic gland or pancreas, but the thing is it will be inactive unless until the bile juice comes from the liver into the duodenum, where duodenum is a common aperture or common passage where pancreas and the bile duct are connected. So that's the reason why he has asked a little different kind of a question, where he says pancreatic lipase is activated by antide, right? So right option is the bile here, bile juice which is secreted by the liver. Okay, then 103rd question. Whereas before I go for 103rd question, whereas it here says about cholecystokinin, right? So whereas cholecystokinin is also called as cholecystokine kind of cholecystokine or cholecystokinin anta kuda karitivi. It's a peptide hormone which is secreted in the GI tract. Okay, it's a peptide hormone which is secreted in the GI tract. So that means here it stimulates the fat digestion here, whereas of course it resemble like digestion of fat ಆಗೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ನಮಗೆ CCK ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ ಸಮ್ಟೈಮ್ಸ್. ಬಟ್ ದ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಈಸ್, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅವನು ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದಾನೆ, ಅದು ಆಕ್ಟಿವೇಟೆಡ್ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನಾವು ಬೈಲನ್ನು ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಪೆಪ್ಸಿನ್, ಐ ಹೋಪ್ ಯು ನೋ ದಟ್ the protein digesting enzyme, and then HCl is responsible for breakdown of the larger molecules into smaller ones. That's it, not for the digestion, and even for it is responsible for overcoming from the bacterial infection and all. Okay, so their role is different, right? So that's the reason why C option is the right option. Okay, let me go for 103rd question. What he says, amylopsin acts upon antide. A option ಏನು ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ, polysaccharide in any medium, polysaccharide in acidic medium, polypeptide in any medium, or polysaccharide in alkaline medium antide. What is this amylopsin? Amylopsin is again a pancreatic enzyme. That is one point. Then another point is, whereas this amylopsin is actually a polysaccharide in the alkaline medium. Because hope you know that earlier in the gastric region, I mean the in the stomach, it will have the very less pH, that is less than 2 pH we say, and suddenly when it enters into the small intestine, that is in the duodenum, again it should neutralize the pH, and that's the reason why he says that polysaccharide in alkaline medium. Alkaline medium is a point what you are supposed to concentrate, because earlier it will be acidic medium, right? So that's a reason why we say that amylopsin acts on the polysaccharide in the alkaline medium, okay, not in the acidic medium, because there in the duodenum it will have the alkaline medium. Okay, let me go for the 104th question. Select the set in which all are enzymes. ಎಲ್ಲಾನು ಎನ್ಸೈಮ್ಸ್ ಇರಬೇಕ್ರಿ, ಅಂದರೆ ಲೈಕ್ ಬೇರೆ ಏನಿದೆ ಅದ್ರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಎನ್ಸೈಮ್ ದಟ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಸಪೋಸ್ ಟು ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ಹಿಯರ್. ಓಕೆ, ಎ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ ಗ್ಯಾಸ್ಟ್ರಿನ್, ಪೆಪ್ಸಿನ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಟ್ರಿಪ್ಸಿನ್ ಅಂತ. ಬಿ ಸೇಸ್ ರೆನಿನ್, ಪೆಪ್ಸಿನ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಟ್ರಿಪ್ಸಿನ್ ಅಂತ. ಸಿ ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ ರೆನಿನ್, ಟ್ರಿಪ್ಸಿನ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಅಮೆಲಾಪ್ಸಿನ್. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಡಿ ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ ಎಂಟಿರೋಕೈನೇಸ್, ಲೈಪೇಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಆಕ್ಸಿಟೋಸಿನ್ ಅಂತ. But the thing is, especially when you observe the B and the C option here, renin and renin both are looking common, right? But the thing is, hope you remember in my previous video classes, many times I have told you there is a lot of difference between this homophonic, that is renin and renin, because there is a extra letter N in the B, and whereas it is not there in the C, right? So whereas here, actually right option is, as you all know, renin, that is B option, RENNIN, because I hope you know that it is milk digesting enzyme, that is casein as a protein, milk protein, which is going to digest by the renin, and which is abundantly secreted in the juvenile stage of a baby. And pepsin and trypsin are the enzymes, right? But whereas when you go for the rest of the options, whereas in the A option gastrin is there, gastrin is not actually, as you all know, it is enzyme, it is a hormone, and it is peptide hormone which is responsible for stimulation of secretion of the HCl. Okay, and if you take C option, that is single NIN, whereas this angiotensinage enzyme adu, it is a hormone also, you can say, athwa enzyme anta kuda, sometimes enzyme antivi, sometimes hormone antivi, that's different thing. But the thing is, according to different references we say in a different way, but the thing is, it is responsible for maintenance of blood pressure, and it is secreted in the kidney, not in the digestive system. So that is major point what you are supposed to concentrate. Okay, so rest of the two of the enzymes, as you all know, trypsin and amylopsin are the enzymes. Then if you take the D option, enterokinase and lipase are enzymes, as you all know, whereas oxytocin is not an enzyme. Whereas especially for first year students, I would like to stress over here, who don't know much about the oxytocin, which is responsible for movement of the smooth muscles during the parturition. We say parturition is nothing but delivery, which is responsible for ejection of a baby during the parturition. Okay, so that's a major function of this oxytocin, which is hormone actually, right? It is not an enzyme. Okay, so that's the reason why this D option is also wrong. So B option is the right, where renin, pepsin and trypsin are the set of enzymes which he has given here. Okay, now let me go for 105th question. Select a correct set from the following. ಸೆಟ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಯಾವುದಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾವುದು ಕಾಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟರಿ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಇದೆ ನೋಡಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಪೆಪ್ಸಿನ್, ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಚ್, ಟ್ರಿಪ್ಸಿನ್, ಫ್ಯಾಟ್, ಪೆಪ್ಸಿನ್, ಪ್ರೋಟೀನ್, ಲೈಪೇಸ್, starch. As you all know, very simple question it is actually, where pepsin protein, because pepsin is responsible for hydrolysis or breakdown of the protein. Okay, then now let me go for the 106th question. Match the enzyme with their respective substrate and choose the right one among the options given antida, right? So column 1 ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ concerned with the enzymes, and column 2 is says about the substrate here. I hope you all know that, whereas this 106th question is having the right option as the D option, because in the column 1, that lipase is responsible for hydrolysis of the fat. So that's the reason why I have not explained much about that 105th question, because here we come across the substrate which this enzyme is going to break down. Okay, whereas if you take the B, that is nuclease, is responsible for hydrolysis of the nucleic acids, breakdown of the nucleic acids, right, into nucleosides, and basically nucleotides and then nucleosides. right? And ultimately it will break it down into 3 subunits, that is phosphate group and the pentose sugar and the nitrogen bases, right? And then if you take the C option, I mean this C under the column 1, that is carboxypeptidase, is actually protein, peptones and proteoses are broken down by the carboxypeptidases, and the D, that is dipeptidases, are going to break down the dipeptides into, you know, monopeptides, right? So that's a reason why we say that, you know, D option is the right option. Okay, let me go for 107th question. Mark the right statement among the following. Correct statement anta kelidane. Trypsinogen is an inactive enzyme. Trypsinogen is secreted by intestinal mucus. Enterokinase is secreted by pancreas trypsin, and bile contains trypsin antide, right? I hope you remember in my again previous many of the video classes, normal video classes, I have discussed about the enzymes. When they are in inactive form, we pronounce them as gen, or we write their, you know, ending with a, they end with a gen anta heltivi. So whereas trypsinogen is an inactive form of enzyme which is converted into trypsin by the actually you know, enterokinase enzyme, and whereas, you know, something, whereas this trypsinogen is secreted by the, you know, I hope you all may be remembering, it is secreted by the pancreas, and it is you know, made into active by the enterokinase, which is secreted by the intestine. Okay, so that's very interesting point what you are supposed to concentrate over here concerned with the trypsinogen. Okay, so whereas the right statement is that trypsinogen is an inactive enzyme annodu. Okay, now let me go for the absorption of the digested food. 108th question. Large intestine absorbs. Andre ಆ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ಇರುವಂಥ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ ಇದು. ಫ್ಯೂ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ ಅಕಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಅವರ್ ಬೇಸ್ ಬುಕ್. ಲಾರ್ಜ್ ಇಂಟೆಸ್ಟೈನ್ ಅಬ್ಸಾರ್ಬ್ಸ್. ಲಾರ್ಜ್ ಇಂಟೆಸ್ಟೈನ್ ಏನು ಅಬ್ಸಾರ್ಬ್ ಮಾಡತ್ರಿ? ಐ ಹೋಪ್ ಯು ಆಲ್ ನೋ. Whereas it is going to absorb, as you all know, that is water, electrolytes and some vitamins, not the monosaccharide fatty acids and glycerol and amino acids, because they are all, you know, absorbed by the small intestine earlier itself, right? So whereas when it enters that, you know, digested food and eliminating substances enter into the large intestine, so then it is going to absorb more and more water, electrolytes, some vitamins and even the drugs also, right? So to overcome from the loss of water, it absorbs more amount of water in the large intestine. Okay, through the, to overcome from the loss of water through the fecus. Okay, so that's the reason why it absorbs more to the water. Okay, let me go for the 109th question. Glycerol, fatty acids and monoglycerides are absorbed into antideri, right? So again, it is a little similar question to the 110th question anta helbodu. ಏನಕ್ಕಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ lymph vessels within the villi. Glycerol, fatty acids and monoglycerides are absorbed into lymph vessels within the villi is the right option, because you should know first and foremost point what is these what are these lymph vessels anta. Lymph vessels, see their name itself will let you know. Lymphatic system anta ನಮಗೆ ಒಂದು ಕಾಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟರಿ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಅಲಾಂಗ್ ವಿತ್ ಸರ್ಕ್ಯುಲೇಟರಿ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಅದರ ವೆಸಲ್ಸ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ಲಿಂಫ್ ವೆಸಲ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೇವೆ, ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ರೆಸ್ಪಾನ್ಸಿಬಲ್ ಟು ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಆರ್ ಗಾರ್ಡ್ ದ, ಯು ನೋ, pathogens which will be entering into our bloodstream. Okay, when they are you know, our villi will be absorbing the food alla, and that is going to circulate those nutrients through the blood alva. So during that time, you know, these lymph vessels will be supporting us to, you know, guard those pathogenic substances which will be entering into our, you know, bloodstream. Okay, or what you can say, through the villi. Okay, so whereas lymph vessels, actually they are absorbed into the lymph vessels within the villi is the right option here. ದೆನ್ ದ ಮೇನ್ ಬೇರೆ ನೋಡಿದರೆ ವಾಲ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಸ್ಟಮಕ್ ನೋಡಿ ತುಂಬ ವೇಗ್ ಇದೆ, ತುಂಬ ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. ದೆನ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಲರೀಸ್ ವಿದಿನ್ ವಿಲಾಯ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಯಾವ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಲರಿ ಅಂತ ಮಾತಾಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ದೆನ್ ಕೊಲಾನ್ ಅಂತಿದೆ, ಅದು ಕೂಡ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ಲಿ ಔಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಬಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಅ option, right? So that's why A is the right option here. Okay, let me go for the 110th question. The main function of lacteals in the villi of human small intestine is the absorption of agbekriyadu. So whereas here of course the same answer here, that is fatty acids and the glycerol, because lacteals in the villi andru onde matte ee lymph vessels andru onde. Lacteals are nothing but the lymph vessels, guys, okay, which are present in the villi, and they are responsible for the absorption of the fatty acids and the glycerol, guys. Okay, ಚೀಫ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಲಾರ್ಜ್ ಇಂಟೆಸ್ಟೈನ್ ಈಸ್, ಇದು ಅಂತೂ ನಿಮಗೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಕಾಮನ್ ಆಗಿ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ. ಮೇನ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನು ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅಬ್ಸಾರ್ಪ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ವಾಟರ್. ಜಸ್ಟ್ ನೌ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟೋಲ್ಡ್ ಯು, ನಾಟ್ ದ ಅಂದರೆ ಕಂಪೇರ್ಡ್ ಟು ದ ಮಿನರಲ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದ ಸಾಲ್ಟ್ಸ್, actually absorption of water is more important here, or it's a major function here in the large intestine. Okay, so whereas absorption of the fat antu alve alla, houdra? Okay, let me go for the 112th question. The functional units concerned with absorption of digested food are. The functional unit, ನೋಡಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಂತ ಚಂದ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ ಇದೆ. ಫಂಕ್ಷನಲ್ ಯೂನಿಟ್ ಯಾವುದು ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ? Brunner's gland are crypts of Liebergen or Peyer's patches. As you all know, they are responsible for secretion of the enzyme. But ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅವನು ಕೇಳಿರೋದು absorption ಅಂತ. So as you all know, that is villi is the right option here. Then 113th question, select what is not true of intestinal villi among the following. Not true. Okay, so they possesses microvilli, they increase the surface area, they are supplied with the capillaries and the lacteal vessels, they only participate in the digestion of the fats. No, as you all know, this D option is the wrong option, because as he has asked not true anta kelidane, they only participate in the digestion of the fat antalla, ಈ ಬೇರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೆಲಸದಲ್ಲಿನೂ ಕೂಡ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅರ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಏನು ABC ಆಪ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. Okay, let me go for the last concept of this chapter, the disorders of digestive system. Jaundice is due to failure of kidney, failure of liver, bacterial disease, or a disease of blood. As you all know, jaundice ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಸಿಂಪ್ಟಮ್ಸ್ ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ, ಯೆಲ್ಲೋ ಕಲರೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಸ್ಕ್ಲೀರಾ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದ ಸ್ಕಿನ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಡ್ಯೂ ಟು ದ ಇಂಪ್ರಾಪರ್ ಸಿಕ್ರೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಬಿಲಿರುಬಿನ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಬಿಲಿವರ್ಡಿನ್ ಅಂತ ಎರಡು ಪಿಗ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಅವುಗಳಿಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದೇ ಆರ್, ಆಸ್ ಯು ಆಲ್ ನೋ, ಸಿಕ್ರಿಟೆಡ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಲಿವರ್. ಸೊ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ಸ್ ಅ ರೀಸನ್ ವೈ ವಿ ಸೇ ದಟ್ ಫೇಲಿಯರ್ ಆಫ್ ಲಿವರ್ ಲೀಡ್ಸ್ ಟು ಜಾಂಡಿಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಅಲಾಂಗ್ ವಿತ್ ದಟ್ ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ದ ಅದರ್ ಸಿಂಪ್ಟಮ್ಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ recurring high fever with a chill irutte. So that's concerned with the other symptoms of the jaundice. Okay, last question. One of the following is not a common disorder associated with digestive system. Tetanus, diarrhea, jaundice and dysentery. As you all know, diarrhea, jaundice and dysentery are the common kind of disorders which are associated with the digestive system. But whereas tetanus is not, because Clostridium tetani, it is caused due to a bacteria called as the Clostridium tetani ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು, which will be present on the rusted irons. Okay, ಸೊ ಅದು ಏನಾದರೂ ನಮ್ಮ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಮಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋದರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಟೆಟನಸ್ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥ ಡಿಸೀಸ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ಸ್ ಅ ರೀಸನ್ ವೈ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಗಿವ್ ಯು, ಇಫ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಗಾಟ್ ಮೆಟಲ್ನ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಏನಾದರೂ ಬೈಟ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ, ಐ ಮೀನ್ ಟು ಸೇ ಸ್ಕ್ರ್ಯಾಚ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದರೆ, ತಗಡು ಈ ಥರ ಎಲ್ಲ ನಿಮಗೆ ಬಡಿದ್ರೆ, ಸೊ ಆವಾಗ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ನಿಮಗೆ TTನ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. TT ಅನ್ನುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಇಂಜೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಟು ಓವರ್ಕಮ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಿಸ್ ಡಿಸೀಸ್, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಟೆಟನಸ್. ಓಕೆ, thank you guys. By this I would like to complete or conclude my today's first class. ಇದನ್ನು ನಾನು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಲೈಕ್ ಇಟ್, ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ tell me how did you felt in this class, and if you want to edit something else, then I would like to free to listen your suggestions. And hope you're all studying and being secure in your home in this second wave of pandemic, guys. Take care. Bye guys.